Working in healthcare, I am constantly surrounded by patients, family members, and doctors having medical discussions about different procedures and treatments. As a student nurse, I've come to understand the importance of exactly what they're speaking about. And to me, one of the most essential um, plans you can have for medical care is your advance directive, which is your plan for death. A lot of people don't like these kind of discussions, and they may actually consider them morbid, or they think, we're young, what does it matter if we have a plan now? I won't need it for 50 years. Unfortunately, there are accidents, and you may be put in a position where you are completely unable to communicate, and at that point, you won't be able to speak for yourself or let anybody know exactly how you would wish to be treated. And also, when some people have terminal illnesses, they think that having a simple discussion is going to be enough to get them the treatment that they would wish at the end. An advance directive is important because it helps you with the quality of your care at the end. It's not just about how long you're going to live, it's how your life is going to be when you're taking your last few breaths. I've previously spoken to you about the parts of an advance directive and and how it can help you ensure that you're comfortable towards the end. The first case that actually brought the advance directive into light was in 1975. There was a 21-year-old girl named Karen Quinlan who was straight A student, considered, one of the girls next door, brought up very well, and she went off to college. And when she went off to college, she went to a party, and as I said, she wasn't used to going out, and she probably wasn't sure of her limitations. So what happened was she actually overdosed, and she was without oxygen for 15 minutes. She was taken to the hospital where it was determined that she was in a persistent vegetative state. And what the medical dictionary defines a persistent vegetative state is a condition of profound unresponsiveness. And it's where the cerebral cortex, which is kind of the big center for our brain, does not respond to outward stimuli. You're mute, you can't communicate. So, since she was considered in a persistent vegetative state, they did give her a breathing tube and a feeding machine. After a year of this, her father decided that he wanted to take her off and let her pass naturally. The doctors that were caring for her decided that they weren't going to do it because they didn't want to be held responsible when she did pass away, and they didn't want to have repercussions for allowing her to die, essentially. So what happened was the father ended up having to go to the New York Supreme Court to petition to take his daughter off of the machines. In the first legal case, it is in the journal Legal Issues, Legal Aspects of End-of-Life Care. It is documented that you need to have something written, it's essential to have something written in order for your plans to be carried out exactly as you would like them to be. The father won the case, and his daughter at that point had muscle deterioration and had a loss of 40 pounds over the year that she was in that state. A more publicized case that a lot of people may know about, it happened in 1990, is the Terri Schiavo Right to Die case. Terri Schiavo was found at 26 in her hallway of her apartment building, and she was without oxygen for an unknown amount of time as well. She did not have a living will, so doctors determined that her husband would decide her health care for her. The family and the husband discussed Terri's care, and the doctors once again determined she was in a persistent vegetative state, but they continued to get her intense rehabilitation and intense treatments. After 15 years of this, the husband decided that he just wanted to take her off the machines and let her pass, and the father said no. So once again, they had to go into court, and there was a battle over this, and her machines were removed and replaced 3 times until finally it was decided that the husband was able to make the final decision. She came off life support and she passed away a few days later. During all these court proceedings, many other family members and friends discussed that they had heard Terry say that she did not want to live in a coma or in a place where she could not communicate by herself, but because she didn't have anything written down, she continued to do so for 15 years, and during her autopsy, it was found that her brain was half of its normal size, and her neurons were essentially dead, and there was never a way that she was going to come out of it. Now, those are cases of 2 younger people that it happened by accident. My father passed away June 12th of 2014, and he died from a 9-year struggle of colon cancer. A few years into his disease, he watched his wife pass away, and after seeing her struggle towards the end of life, he decided that he was going to make an advance directive. Now, as we watched him pass away with only pain medication and oxygen, it was very hard for us, but it was a comfort to know that he had made that decision and he was passing with no pain and without struggling to breathe, as was his biggest concern. What people need to understand is advance directives are important because living is not just about taking another breath. Everybody is going to pass away. And you have to remember towards the end of your life that you need quality of life. You need to have that comfort. And as everybody should be able to choose how they live, they should also be able to choose how they die.